The relations between the humans and my home nation have been strained for a few years at this point, without any signs of improvement. It all started with the drafting of our borders 12 years ago. The humans claimed a strand of 7 systems on the other side of the void that made up the entire rest of the border. They claimed that there was a strand of settlements on the planets, but reports of those systems showed a few thousand people at most on each. This led to my home government accusing the human government of rushing settlement ships there to claim the stars, in order to give them a forward base in case of war. An accusation that was completely denied by the humans. Because of that, I found myself and a group of 4 others on a small stealth craft heading towards a human battleship to see if a war would be practical. The vessel being talked about was known as the Mosquito, designed to attach itself to a ship where a cord would be shot into the hull but not all the way through, allowing them to tap into the ship's communication systems, and even essential systems. This style of ship has been phased out due to newer and more sensitive detection systems. See the article on the PDDS system for more details. As we were approaching the ship, we saw, well, something that made us question if we even needed to keep going with the mission. Several fighters with huge numbers painted on the side of them were racing around the ship. We were unsure about what they were doing exactly, but we saw one of them with 2 extra engines welded on the side of it. I couldn't get a good look from the camera recording of the outside. Despite this show of... I'm still not sure what to call it, we chose to finish the mission to see how much the human military had fallen into disrepair. It took a bit after connecting with the ship's communications, but we were able to start listening to the comms between the different sectors, and nothing was being taken seriously. We were able to tap into the bridge's communications, and we actually heard the captain and the rest of the bridge putting bets on the crafts that were flying around the ship. The captain themselves was partaking in activity that would have gotten anyone of a similar rank in our military demoted to the point they would be lucky to keep the bathrooms clean. We only spent an hour gathering information before we determined we had collected enough and began to depart. However, because of our perception of the human ship at the time, we assumed that they wouldn't notice a signal from a few miles away from their ship. However, the 4 seconds that it took to broadcast the signal was enough for them to 1. Pick up the signal, 2. Find our location, 3. Send an intercept order, and 4. All 7 of the crafts that were racing around the ship to catch us in only 4 minutes. Despite this, we still were confident that our home government could win any war that came after. Our ship was immobilized and we were captured. The human prisons are, overall, pretty good in comparison to most prisoners I have heard of. It even had a TV that allowed us to watch the outside of the station if we pleased. We spent a few weeks in there. They did try and haggle us for information, but because of the amount of human laws that prevent the torture of prisoners and persons for information, we were safe until the war broke out. We knew the humans had a habit of forgetting their own rules when they needed to. However, we weren't that concerned, and I myself thought that we would be saved long before the humans would ever be able to do anything to us. Yet the battle we saw was not what we were even considering. Yes, our forces did win the battle from the element of surprise, but the humans' forces were able to maintain their strength and organization enough to only lose a few systems, and inflicted a 3-to-1 loss ratio across the front. We watched in horror as the forces we reported as weak and almost non-functioning were able to kill an entire fleet's worth of ships before their main forces even arrived. After their main forces arrived, they managed to push the fleet back far enough that they could see our home world during our Industrial Revolution. While I was in the cell, I asked one of the guards why the ship seemed to be in a completely dysfunctional state when we checked. They said something that, well, it makes sense now. Oh, it was a double holiday. Christmas and the captain's birthday, and we weren't about to turn down a chance to get sloshed. When I asked them about the fighters, they seemed to get a bit nervous and said, Command did not necessarily approve of it, however they never said anything against it directly. I understand that to now mean we never asked, so they wouldn't tell us not to. From what I know now, I think that might be one of the main reasons that humans were able to win the war. They always seem to be fresh and, if not ready for another battle, prepared to fight one. They always seem to have kept a part of themselves at home, to remember why they were fighting.